Hi, I'm Leanne from Bat Lady Herbals, and welcome to my video. So today we're here in Central Florida in the Little Big Econ State Forest, and I wanted to share with you another one of my favorite trees, and that is the sweet gum. Now, as you can see, this tree has star-shaped leaves, which is one of the reasons that I actually fell in love with this at a very young age. When I was younger, there was a series of movies, cartoons, called The Land Before Time. It was about dinosaurs, and they were traveling across the world to get to a better place called the Big Valley. And their favorite food was the leaf of a tree, and they called it the star tree, or the star leaf. And this tree has always reminded me of that. Another reason I fell in love with it at an early age is because it has these little seed pods that most of us just call sweet gum balls. And I used to throw these at my friends, and we would have wars, much like pine cone wars or snowball wars, if you live in a place that actually has snow. It was really a lot of fun when I was a kid. Yes, they're painful to step on, and yes, they hurt when they hit you, but it brings back childhood memories. Now, the scientific name for this tree is liquid amber straciflua, and I'm probably butchering the Latin, so if I am, please feel free to correct me in the comments down below. Now, this tree, in addition to being a gorgeous tree that is one of the trees that gives us a little tiny hint of fall color here in Central Florida. But you can see it's starting to turn a little bit on the yellow side. It's also a great medicinal. Now, during cold and flu season, there's a couple products that show up on the over-the-counter shelves in pharmacies and grocery stores, and one of them is actually made from these little balls, and that is Tamiflu. Now, there's a couple different plants they extract the chemical from to make Tamiflu, but sweet gum is one of them. So you can kind of make your own homemade Tamiflu this time of year by getting the green balls, the ones that are not brown yet, squishing them, breaking them open, packing them in a jar, and covering them with alcohol, letting them sit for about 6 weeks, shaking them once a day, and then you drain off the liquid and you have a tincture. And that tincture is great for coughs and colds, for pretty much all flu symptoms, including aches and pains. It'll help reduce fevers, and it also makes a great skin wash because it is antimicrobial. It's going to help not only reduce the inflammation from certain skin conditions, but if you have any cuts, sores, open wounds, you can flush it out with that and prevent any infection from setting in. Just want to get you a little bit more up close and personal with the bark of this tree because it's one of the ways to identify it. It's got some interesting crags in it, always nice and bumpy. Got a lot of nice places for air plants to hang on, so you'll often find air plants and Spanish moss along with it. Now, this is a Native American traditional medicinal plant, and you can find it all throughout the southeast of the United States. Now, Native American traditions has not just the balls in use, but also some leaves, some of the inner bark, and the sap, which is often called balsam. Now, the sap is used much in the same way that a pine sap would be used. So you'd use it to help to stick together any really big open wounds, to help them heal closed with less of a scar. You could also put them in any wound care salve and use it on your skin topically that way. It's going to help reduce any inflammatory skin conditions like eczema and psoriasis. You could make a decoction out of the inner bark and use that as a wash to help with dandruff and certain types of inflammatory scalp issues. If you do a lot of hiking, camping, things that are outdoors, there's another traditional use for this wonderful tree. You can actually take a small piece of a branch about the size of a number 2 pencil, about like this, about that big around, and you can actually scrape off the bark on one side and make it into a point, use it as a toothpick. The bark has amazing qualities to use in your gums to help clear off a lot of gum disease, help with cleaning your teeth. And since the fibers of this tree are kind of woven together, which makes it hard to cut open for firewood, it actually doesn't splinter as much, so you can use it as a toothbrush. Just fuzz out one side of it and brush each individual tooth. If you want a little bit more cleanliness and you forgot your toothbrush and your toothpaste at home, you can also grab some of the black ash from your campfire the night before and use that on your teeth as in place of your toothpaste. It's not going to taste the best, but it'll get the job done. It'll even help to whiten your teeth. So this is a little bit on the small side for what you'd want to do this toothbrush, but you can see. First, I'm going to clean it up a little bit. All right, so this end's probably best for a toothbrush, and what a lot of the old timers here in Florida would do is they would make one end into their toothpick and one into their toothbrush. But you want to get a lot of this excess outer bark off. And then simply want to start it off a little bit. Get it all fuzzy on the end. So you want to get it started on fuzzing it out a little bit by using your knife at the very end, just to get a nice fuzz going on. And then just stick it in your mouth and chew it to get it the rest of the way. So you see, all this fuzziness, that's your bristles of your toothbrush. And then you simply just go one tooth at a time in circles, and voila, instant natural toothbrush that's actually really good for your teeth and gums. I will warn you, it doesn't taste the best, but it's not half as bitter as willow bark, which is another one you can do this with. Neat little trick if you're ever on a camping trip and forget your toothbrush. I mentioned that some of the traditional preparations use the leaves. Well, the leaves aren't the most potent part of this plant, so they don't get used a lot. But they can be used to make a poultice, to put on achy joints, or as a wound cover. Now, one of the other traditional uses of this plant is you can actually take the inner bark and make a strong decoction, which is a lot stronger than a tea. Instead of boiling the water first and then adding it to the herb, you're actually boiling the herb in the water for about 30 minutes. You want to make a strong, strong decoction and add it to your bath for a nice muscle soak. It's going to help relieve any inflammation, especially if you've had a long, hard day or if you've been training for anything. Now, it's also useful as a mucous membrane tonic. It helps to soothe mucous membranes in the entire body, which means it's good for diarrhea and dysentery. But it's especially good when you're talking about the membranes in the airways, the lungs, throat, sinuses. All of those are especially good with sweet gum. It's also antifungal and antiparasitic, which means that you can use a preparation made from any parts of this tree to help get rid of ringworm and help control scabies. So thank you again for joining me today. Once again, I'm Leanne from Bat Lady Herbals. You can find my blog, which has a little bit more information about this wonderful tree in it, at batladyherbals.com. I also am doing backyard tours still. So if you want me to come out to your house and help you find what might be naturally in your backyard that you could use, just contact me. My contact information is going to be down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to be reminded of when I post up new things. You can also find a little bit of merch, t-shirts and whatnot, at Teespring. Once again, all those links are going to be down below, as well as a link to my Patreon. If you like what I do and would like to see more of it, please find me on Patreon and become a patron. So thank you again, and have a wonderful day.